What's going on, guys? It's Coach Noob back in the building with another one. As usual, it's going to be jam packed full of jewels. Anytime's always appreciated because you can be doing anything but you hear me checking out these reviews. So it's another crazy one, man. It's about a guy who kills his wife, man, and then they bring up his history of domestic violence. So let's get to it.
All right, we turn now to IT Mate, uncovering new information about the man who shot and killed his wife yesterday morning. Turns out he was a convicted felon and illegally in possession of the guns he used. IT Mate's Cody Fisher did a deep dive into the criminal history of 76-year-old Walter McNary.
Hey, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, decision making, man. And just from off top, you know what he's saying, bro. 76 years old, and then this is the kind of thing that you want to do with the rest of your life is, unalive your wife. And, it doesn't really matter how long you've been with her or anything like that. You should be able to, you know, divorce her if that's what it takes, or separate, something along those lines. And know that, it's never the answer, man, especially if it's someone that your wife. And if you really love your wife or the person that you're with, man, then even if you're not together, you still don't want like anything to happen to them, and you really don't care. Like, of course, you don't want anything to happen to them, but you don't care how they go and live their life. If you're not with them, you're not with them. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter who they're with. You know, if they think the grass is greener on the other side, then let them go. You know, and you go do your thing and worry about yourself. Worry about, you know, working on stuff that you need to work on and being the best version of yourself, being mentally, physically, and spiritually, aware of what's going on with you, the decisions that you're making in your life, and just, keeping that every day and moving forward, man, and progressing, bro. It doesn't matter how old you are.
The man who shot and killed his wife before being shot by police here on 32nd Street following a chase had previously spent time in prison, and in 2012, he was convicted in a domestic violence case.
All right, so, it ended in a chase, and obviously, anytime you got to run or something like that, man, you did something that you ain't had no business doing, bro. And then it ended up with him getting shot and unalive. You know what I'm saying? So really, that wasn't the best decision that he could have made for himself or for anyone else, bro. And now it's no coming back from that, bro. You know, you know, changing things or thinking about it like I should have did this or I should have did that. So instead of getting into this kind of situation, man, just give yourself the best chance from the beginning so you don't even have to go through stuff like this for real.
This mugshot from the Indiana Department of Corrections shows Walter McNary in 2011. He was in prison for violating probation linked to drug charges. He was released right before Christmas. According to court documents, in early May 2012, he came home at 4 a.m. and woke his wife Nola up by hitting her. That morning, he hit her several times, choked her, and threatened to kill her.
All right, so man, the drugs, the weed didn't have anything to do with even, what I'm saying, while he was in there, but then he took it a step further when he got home and then, woke his wife up by hitting her and threatening to kill her. You know what I'm saying? So that means that he had trauma and stuff like that or stuff he was going through and he took it out on her, man, instead of just dealing with it and doing what he was supposed to do so he could move on, in a healthy way, bro. But he was still, if you knew better, you do better. So maybe he didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And if he did, he really didn't care. And he decided to, do something like that. And that was way back in 2012, man. So they're bringing up all of this stuff, bro. They can do whatever they want. Now you're gone. They can paint a picture and make it look like the kind of person any kind of person that they want you to be, man. Even if you did change your life for a while or whatever, something like that. Look how it ended though, with you actually going through with what you said you was gonna do, take your wife's life, bro. And then you ended up doing that. So, it's just making it look like that's what kind of person you were this whole time. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna, put you on blast. They're gonna make an example of it, and they really don't care for the most part, bro.
He ultimately took a plea deal, was given probation, and ordered to complete 26 weeks of domestic violence counseling. Fast forward 13 years. This was the scene yesterday on North Ritter Avenue. It's where McNary shot his wife Nola just after 7 in the morning. The family told us Nola had been staying at her sister's house to get away from Walter. Nola's friend told us what happened was a surprise.
We never expected it, but behind every smile could be some sadness. You never know what somebody's going through. If you see signs in a domestic dispute, it's kind of just run. Because one sign can be the sign of many bad signs.
If you were
Hey, it's easier said than done though, man. When they be like, just get away from it. Sometimes people feel like they don't have nowhere to go, or the person that they would gonna end up finding them anyway, or they just find themselves getting back into that vicious cycle and keep going. So ultimately, man, it's up to you to, realize what you're doing, how you're hurting people, traumatizing people, man, even yourself, bro. And the people that love you, besides your wife, like your family, your friends, her family, her friends, you know what I'm saying? And they're saying it was a surprise, but they keep bringing up, his past and about domestic violence, being in and out of jail and stuff like that, bro. So they're making it seem like, well, was it really a surprise when this is the kind of behavior that he's been doing for the past 13 years off and on? You know what I'm saying? So, like, if he wouldn't have ever did that, 13 years later, then they wouldn't have a reason to be doing this and bringing this type of stuff up like this, man.
someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, go to the As Seen On section of our website, where you'll find this story, where we've linked to domestic violence resources. Reporting in Indianapolis, Brad T. I'm Cody Fisher for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
And then, like, do you really care about, your wife or something like that, bro? If that's how you're gonna do, at the end of the day, if you're gonna take her life, do you even really care about yourself though, or what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Are you thinking about your future for real? It didn't seem like it though, because even if it started like over an argument or something, man, like you shouldn't even be arguing with your wife, bro. And yeah, it's not easy for some people to walk away and remove themselves from that situation and then come back at a later time and talk about it. And if it comes down to it, you have to agree to disagree. And if you guys never just really agree on something, and if the agreement is always a disagreement, then it's not working, man. That means it's time to figure out something different, man. Move on. A new chapter in your life, bro. And, you know, you do that by making good decisions, giving yourself a chance to even make good decisions, bro. Because if you always make blunderous decisions one after another, then at the end of the day, something like this is gonna happen and it's gonna be too late. You're either gonna be dead or in jail, bro. That's the only really two ways out. If you always trying to go hard and you always gotta be right and you know what I'm saying, always arguing with your wife or something like that, bro, that means that that's not the person for you for real. Shouldn't even have to put yourself through that kind of stuff, bro. It's it, it's like it's a never ending cycle, bro. But you gotta take yourself out of that. They're revolving doors. Stop going through that door, bro. Go through a different door, man. Try something else out. You know what I'm saying? You never know how it's gonna go. And some people, they get so caught up on one person that they forget that it's a whole world out there. and you could do whatever you want to do, man. You don't always have to be with that one person for real, you know. But anyways, man, here's Coach Noob. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you dig this kind of content. And your time is always appreciated because you could be doing anything but you hear me checking out these reviews. Until next time, I'm out.